chiefly those inflationary pressures are coming from the crude price principally, right?
That's true. That's true. Our own oil price analysts have raised their second half 2012 Brent forecast to $127 per barrel average, and that would have significant implications for inflation in India. And there are quite a few moving parts here. The freight rates have gone up 20% this month, which will have a cascading effect on all kinds of prices. And there are possibilities of power tariff hikes and fertilizer price hikes being announced in the budget. If all of this come together, then we could see inflation going back to more uncomfortable zone very quickly.
Okay, well, of course, this is all coming ahead of that budget that we've got in just about 24 hours, 25 hours from now. How important will this budget be? Some of the hard decisions which the Indian ministries need to take have to be included in this, because the next time around, in a year, they're going to be on election footing.
Yes, you cannot possibly dissociate politics from budget. And as we have seen with yesterday's railways budget, where for the first time in 10 years, railway passenger fares were hiked, and by the evening, the railway minister apparently has been sacked because of that price hike. So the politics is not in favor of raising prices for any kind of administered products at this point of time. So difficult to imagine how the government will be able to pass through tough measures to the parliament, where it does not enjoy sufficient majority because his allies are not in line with their thought process. So I'm hoping for a good budget, hoping for the budget to address a lot of supply side issues, but going in with little expectations because of the politics of it.
Right, chiefly what you're talking about when you talk about some of these supply side issues here as well, and of course the chief amongst everything is that fiscal deficit.
That's right. We are expecting that this year's budget will actually throw up a 5.8% of GDP fiscal deficit number, which is much higher than the budgeted 4.6%. So next year, if the fiscal consolidation is on track, then we should get a number which is about 5.3% of GDP. If we get something around that, I should be quite happy in terms of the process of fiscal consolidation. But it's not just the fiscal year 13 budget number that is important, but also a credible roadmap for next 3 years of how to get this fiscal deficit down to 3%. If the finance minister addresses this roadmap issue, then that would be a big positive for markets.
Well, there's one very easy way of doing it, and that's actually radically overhaul the tax system, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true that there are two big structural reforms on direct and indirect taxes which are in the pipeline. I don't expect the direct tax code or the indirect tax reform of uniform goods and services taxes being introduced this year. They're probably going to be introduced from next year. But what we could see is kind of a staggered move to direct taxes and indirect tax overall, where some of the steps are taken in this year's budget itself to make the transition process smooth. So in that sense, one could see some increase in excise taxes, some widening of the service tax net, some rationalization of the income tax slabs, personal income tax slabs, and possibly even some exemptions being moved from taxes, because let's not forget that about 7% of GDP India loses on revenue foregone on different kinds of exemptions.
Samiran Chakraborty, thank you very much indeed.